Mitch remembers it all, man.
Mitch remembers this guy.
With his ancient texts.
Bitch, I'm
It's
Moderna.
Moderna, that's why.
Guys, I got this from a real live dead woman. I guess she's not alive. Ayahuasca girl, she don't want me no more. Could that be ancient wisdom? We're back with another one. The word of the day is auspicious.
Suspicious?
No, Evan, this one's a little different. Auspicious. In fact, it might be somewhat of the opposite. It's conducive to success and favorable. We're getting to the ancient root of modern problems. Let's get into it. But first, some fun stuff. Guys, you ever see those animal videos where the dude does the voiceover?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then they try to do like these funny... I saw one the other day talking about, oh, it was a squirrel. And he's like, oh, I love these nuts in my mouth. And I says, how fucking lame. Animals are funny enough as it is.
That's true.
Turns out the deep state is actually kind of awesome.
I'm convinced.
No, first of all, I mean, besides the subject matter, who says awesome anymore?
True.
Besides these dumb, like, I don't know.
So let me say in the voice of the guy who
millennial
wrote
women.
this.
Yeah.
Turns out the deep state is actually kind of awesome.
I imagine, actually, who wrote it? Is it a man? Adam West? Oh my God. Okay. I
And
read
Lindsay.
it from Lindsay Krause's standpoint.
Both.
Like, maybe she's 32, never had any kids, definitely overweight a little bit. I'd be curious to find out. But yeah, who says awesome? Do you know what the word awesome means? Awesome.
Ooh, deep.
Filled with awe.
Dude.
And the deep state, I mean, maybe it is from a certain perspective, but it's certainly not the one you're saying it from. I talked to this this Jewish old woman from New Jersey one time, and I think someone said awesome, and she threw a fit. She's like, awesome! Awesome! The birth of my granddaughter was awesome! Nothing else! And she got really mad. I was like, this bitch is onto something.
Huh.
She's from the old school. She gets it. But down is up as proof by this lawsuit. Do y'all remember this bitch?
I don't actually.
No one remembers this girl? Anybody? Doesn't ring a bell?
She's having fun, though.
How about, she's having fun, all right. She's normally not used to bulls. She's more familiar with trains.
Ooh. All those guys.
So this chick got fired for fucking 10 dudes on the job. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dudes on the job. And now she's suing the department for $500,000. I think she just got awarded $500,000.
What's the basis of the suit?
Grooming. Oh, they groomed me. They forced me.
my
They
goodness.
it was an environment. This is why we don't have women police officers. Oh, because it was a conducive environment. I was tempted, this and that. Allegedly. She's having too much fun on the job. Should
In the
you really be
uniform.
riding a bull, let alone the rest of your officers?
In the uniform, paying for that.
All right, y'all, let's get into the show.
Wow.
And I want you guys to think about how we can appreciate poverty or the journey that we're on, because most people out here are broke, especially now. Bidenomics, thank you very much. But so my phone showed me this headline recently about the stay-at-home girlfriend. What happens to the stay-at-home girlfriend after a breakup? I usually read Cosmo, it's my thing, so
Nothing good, I imagine.
nothing good at all. And I mean, look at her. Even this picture, she's
quite
looking
the
all
article.
sad. Obviously, the article ends up talking about it's not good.
Yeah.
Stay at home girlfriend after the breakup. What about my career? What about my job? What about my independence? So they are unintentionally correct that your life's not going to be good. But this is just another example of bastardizing life.
How do the women fall into that trap of a stay-at-home girlfriend? You've got nothing to secure your place.
Now, that's a great question. And I postulate that it's because we're simulating reality in our heads these days from millennials onwards. I want to be married. I want to be a stay-at-home girlfriend. But what's missing here? The wife aspect.
Nobody wants to actually put the ring on. Nobody wants to commit.
That sounds like too much to be a wife.
Yeah.
They're like, let's trial run this thing.
And it's probably like, oh, guys talking to me into it. Probably another example of grooming.
Yeah. Oh my God.
As
You're
it
right
is,
about
but like,
that.
God, you could easily write this article and blame it on the man. It's terrible for a stay-at-home girlfriend.
I was forced to stay home and be taken care of financially.
I was tricked. And you were like, okay, you could see the perks behind that, but you didn't get the ring. It's called a stay-at-home wife. There's no such thing as a stay-at-home girlfriend. There's no such thing. You made that up in your head. Obviously, it's shitty after the breakup. Because you're living a lie.
Because it was invented like a few years ago. Like we never did that before.
Role-playing, that's the word, not grifting. You're role-playing as a wife, even though you're really not.
You never see that transition from stay-at-home girlfriend to stay-at-home wife. It doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen. Yo, what happened? I don't know why we forget about the phrase, why buy the cow when you could get the milk for free? Why are we doing this? So it's just another prime example of the bastardization of our institutions. And it's like you were supposed to get married before you lived together. That's the whole point. You can't be a victim after that. So basically, instead of just committing to a real life, not fake imaginary, good marriage, you stop halfway. And I feel like, isn't that symbolic of the times?
Yep.
You go about halfway until you get bored and you're like, all right, this is good enough. Isn't that so symbolic of the times?
It's like we're living this time where people like pay for these experiences. You always hear about millennials like, oh, I want to buy the experience. I value experience. And in millennial culture, right? In millennial culture, like that's so highly valued. Like I've always heard that millennials value the lifestyle experience more than having any assets, right?
Yeah.
And I think the mentality leaks into life and family styles. With this marriage thing being a big one, right? Like the millennial mindset is like, oh, well, you know what? I want to have the wife experience.
We need to start seeing life as more of a spiritual thing. Not as crazy as ayahuasca, girl. But if we start seeing it that way, we realize our experience is more important. Our experience is the only thing that really matters. Not the experience, but our experience.
Right.
And I'm thinking, if the more we compare ourselves to other people, we actually denigrate ourselves. I was talking to a friend of mine who has kids, and him and his wife are there, and I says, man, you're raising 2 kids now? This man is spiritually and mentally guiding 2 kids? And the wife didn't like that.
Ooh.
Because she's like, I'm mentally guiding
I can do that too, yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, here we go.
Here we go. She thinks she can be a spiritual guide.
This isn't gonna last. But I gotta ask y'all, what is stopping us? What is stopping us from seeing life as the spiritual journey that it is? Technology, now that's a good one. Inventions, birth control, that's a good one. You could see it as evidence toward God wants me to do this. This is freedom. This is what we have been working for millennia. Even though, side note, you didn't make that. You didn't do it. Some white guy did who's way smarter than you. And you're just taking the benefits of all somebody else's inventions. But I also want to know another big question for you guys, and comment if you know. Is there any way to give somebody this gift of hardship in good faith? They don't want to read the ancient text. Is there any way to give them the experience of suffering in good faith?
I've been through this where you want to like, let someone, oh, hey, try something new, man.
Yeah.
Or like, come on with me. We'll try something new.
Oh, man, kids don't even want to eat a new food.
And like, they're usually mad at you.
Yeah.
That's deep because people reject something new, but it's almost like you don't even give them the hard situation. They invent it themselves.
Oh, that's a big one.
Trying to portray like the suffering you went through to someone else is like impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
It's kind of gay, too.
You just can't do it.
You don't know what I've been through.
Yeah, and you're trying to be like, listen, I want you to understand my way.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to work, man.
Whoa, which goes back to like we're always comparing ourselves to each other. Like, your life is so interesting, and yet you're always comparing. Why are you doing that if your life is so interesting and so great?
Or asking for advice.
Yeah.
You're looking for a solution.
You're telling this story, and then you want to make people jealous on top of that. And I think I bring up the stay-at-home girlfriend because I kind of realized that, sort of building on our topic of grace, it's sort of this defying of human limitations by recognizing the state of peace as better than excitement. There's a peace that could ameliorate the suffering into a spiritual experience.
And there's no...
I shouldn't do this.
That's the cover. And there's no way a stay-at-home girlfriend has peace either.
Oh, yeah. It's all fake.
She's excited. She's like, oh, it's so exciting. I get to stay home and cook and do nothing.
Oh,
but the peace is there. She's like, I don't have a ring.
Oh,
I don't know what to do.
See? Going halfway.
Yep.
I think that's a plague of the youth right now. So I woke up in a sweat the other night. And I says to myself, maybe I didn't say, maybe it was information given to me.
Whoa.
But I says, to meet God halfway, which we're all trying to do, I think. Just meet God halfway. That's all you got to do. But to meet God halfway, you have to stand on the devil.
Ooh. What would that even look like?
Man, you have to conquer a little bit of what the devil has given you to even be able to meet God halfway. Do you guys vibe with that?
Because if you're standing next to the devil, it's like you can't reach up halfway.
You can't reach.
Because
too high, baby.
It's 2 versus 1 also. He's holding on to you. You can't.
So I love that explanation. That hit me. I think it was just given to me because it really is emblematic of how we experience life and how we think about God. Like, God's up here. Oh, but he created everything good. Then why is there bad? We always ask these questions. Why is there so much bad? And if it is a symbiotic force or yin yang type force, then you have to stand on the devil. You have to conquer half of the devil, certain aspects of yourself, to even be able to reach half of God.
You have to accept the invitation. You have to open the door, put in some effort yourself.
Check it out. Ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will open. Y'all ever think about this? A-S-K. Ask.
I never thought of that ever. That's pretty
Oh!
Axe.
Ask me a question. Ask and you will find. Xylophone.
That's the only word.
Examples.
That's the only word.
Ask God a question. And that's the end of Mitch's segment.
Play xylophone.
And now on to Evan's ancient quotes of the week.
We're actually studying a French philosopher today.
Oh.
He's a little misogynist.
Actually, he's from Geneva.
That's true. But he died in France.
Oh.
Where is Geneva?
Switzerland.
Ah, okay. That's right. So, he said, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, girls must be thwarted early in life.
At every turn. How would you define thwarted, though?
Thwarted is defined as suppressed or like forced to be a way that someone wants you to be.
Almost like you're simulating the life of a man. The struggles that he goes through. Ever think about that?
By thwarting?
You guys vibe with that? Yes. Is not a man thwarted every step of the way?
Ooh.
And a woman given everything she wants at every step of the way?
Oh, man.
Right? So to thwart a woman, on one hand, you could say that's not very nice, but it's not very nice because that's the life that men live every day.
Wow, that's exactly what you're taught as a young boy. You can't do this.
Every turn.
But the girl, it's like, you can have it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And I think, we're all pussies. I know a lot of people with a son and a daughter, and they treat the daughter a lot better. It's just kind of how it goes. We're just like all simps on the inside. Like, all right, she's cute, she's fun. Give her what she wants. But no, you're doing a grave disservice, I think. And, would you guys say, as I do, that every woman, especially now, is treated kind of like nobility.
Yep. Royalty.
Royalty, even. They're sort of great. They can do no wrong. And if they do wrong, it's your fault. So why shouldn't we thwart?
It's the man that made her that way. That's why.
Shucks.
It's not her. It's the man that did it to her. And I would argue that's correct because my heart breaks a little bit when I see that comparison between the boy and the girl growing up when the boy gets nothing. And you are teaching them early to compare themselves to each other, like you were talking about earlier.
Oh, certainly. And I said it before on the show. I'll say it a million times because I've seen it to be true in my own life. Men are, say it slow, hated. Men are hated, especially now. Men are hated. Boys are hated. Did I tell you about this picture I saw? Oh, it was so telling. You know, you see a young man and a young woman, and you just think to yourself easily, like, look at this little nerdy guy. He's useless. Everybody hates him. He's not contributed anything. It actually, now he's taking away from society. Even back in the day, you could do some farm work and be helpful, but now you're just a piece of shit. Everybody hates you. You just go to school and people have to deal with you. But the woman, there's so much value in this young woman. Everybody wants a piece. Everyone wants to be a friend. Everyone wants to talk. Everyone wants to know her mind, how it works,
how she thinks, man.
How she thinks.
I want to get to know you better.
Oh, girl, let me get to know you better. It was just like
value.
I'm telling you, dude, when I saw this one picture, it exploded in my mind. I'm like, hate you, love you.
Wow, yeah, let me get to know your value, girl.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tragic.
Tragic.
Sad commentary.
But that's why we need a little bit of thwarting. It's a good thing.
So here's a good point to maybe combat that Rousseau talked about. Women complain that we raise them only to be vain and flirtatious, but men don't concern themselves with the education of girls. Men will gladly agree to raise girls like boys, but do we force them to spend half their lives on their appearance, following after your example? AKA women and the mothers.
Oh, you're saying that men tell them to spend their life on appearance?
Yeah, he's saying that, like, he's saying that the quote says that women complain that men tell them to do these things, but why would a man ever why would a man ever train anyone to do anything like that?
Facts, dude. You know what that sounds like to me is this modern day, I think we talked about it last week, this woman I saw, don't listen to men. They love it when you wear makeup. Wear all the makeup. Who said that? Did a man ever tell you that?
I didn't.
No.
If anything, we're always saying, like, baby, you look beautiful without that stuff.
Yeah, you're lying.
Dude, makeup is gross.
I'm
like,
doing it for me.
it makes you look like a clown or like a whore.
Yup.
Like, I mean, that's it. Like, I don't know.
And you know what? Okay, men like whores, but in certain contexts. But if you want anything serious, stay away from that stuff. So who's really raising you to be this way? I think it's probably the mom or your friends or just something, yet again, that you have construed within your own mind.
And he says, is it us that forces them to care about their appearance?
Is it I that does this?
Or do they follow after your example?
Oh, that's what he's getting at, huh?
Yep. He's like, let me do that last part.
Even then, dude, this guy died at about the founding of America. And he still knew.
Yep.
Think about the ancients.
Yeah, do we force them to spend half their lives on their appearance following your example?
Oh, man. Nah.
And did you know that blush, the red stuff on their cheeks?
Oh, I know.
Oh, you know.
But you could tell them.
But that was used to symbolize a sign of fertility in the woman.
It's blushness. You get red when you're having sex. Same thing with red lipstick. It's all just to symbolize sex. Therefore, the whores do it. Like, do you need any more examples?
I'm good.
I'm good. I think we got to the bottom of it. Yeah.
Mitch got to the bottom of it. All right, so another one by Rousseau. Women in general are not attracted to art at all, nor knowledge, and not at all to genius.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Makes sense because no one's attracted to me.
Yeah,
this work of art right here.
You could ask Poe. Yeah. No.
This sculpted piece of art right here.
Art, knowledge, beauty. Art. Women don't care about art because they're simply jealous of beauty. I'm going on. Knowledge? They don't give a shit because that stuff's boring. I don't need it. I'm bored.
Wow, you're right.
I'm already valuable enough as it is. And genius? Only if it helps me. Only if the man is genius enough to have invented something that gives me financial worth as being his spouse. That's why they don't care. They certainly don't care. Did they respect a man for being a genius? They couldn't comprehend anyway. How many women have you tried to talk to about Voltaire and it goes right over their head?
Wow, the knowledge thing. I didn't put it to the common denominator of like, that's boring.
That's boring. The simple answer, right? Sometimes is the best. Knowledge? That's boring. Like, I'm already sucking dick every day.
Let's go to the beach.
That's exciting. I want to go to Guam.
Yeah. Let's go see Rascal Flatts.
Wow, could it be so simple, my friend? And a big one, right, is that Rousseau was against, actually, he was for what he called the noble savage, which I just call it the ancients. The ones who knew before, they had the knowledge before time. But another thing that he was staunchly against is this concept of self-love. He said it in French. I won't dare to say it in French. But he was against self-love, which means that when we moved into societies, the jealousy started, and we started to love ourselves more than our neighbor. We started to compare ourselves, and this thing called self-love was created. And isn't it funny that now, modern psychologists, that's all they talk about? Mostly just single women with a lot of cats being psychologists anyway. Oh, you just don't have enough self-love. No, you have too much self-love. Way too much. You don't have enough love for your neighbor. You're too selfish. You're doing everything. You're waking up in the morning, going to sleep at night about what makes you happy. And guess what? It hasn't worked for you.
Right, you're just thinking, that bitch.
That bitch has more than me. Why did I have to get the genius husband? Fuck!
The last Rousseau quote I have for you guys. Do you not know that a child badly taught is farther from being wise than one not taught at all?
Damn. Yeah, fairly simple to me, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Straightforward.
Yeah, like you could teach him to be a homosexual, or you could teach him to have proper values. That's the end of Evan's segment.
That's it.
I don't want that. Bitch.
Yeah.
So, Poj wants to get back to suffering a little bit.
I do. Yes. Being raised as a Catholic, I was taught that suffering is like this valuable trait. Like, it's almost as if you suffer, there is value in your pain. Whether or not you're aiming it at something, it's just the fact that you are in pain and suffering. It has value. And I don't know if that's completely true, and I wanted to get your guys' perspective on that. Do you think that suffering itself has value to God, even though it's not maybe directed at anything?
It depends on if you're Jewish or not. Because the Jews
depends on if you're Catholic or not, too.
I guess that's true, right?
Yeah.
The Jews hate suffering.
True.
The Jews are like, I ain't trying to suffer.
Really?
Suffering's gay.
Catholics love it.
And Catholics love suffering.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of the main differences between the religions, actually, is that it goes back to Christ. Christ suffered on the cross, therefore it has value. Therefore, I should suffer as he did because he did it for me. The Buddha talked about suffering as well. That was one of his main tenets. Mm-hmm. And he said that life is suffering. I think that was the first one of the Four Noble Truths, which is super powerful. Guys, number one, you always got to think about the First Amendment, free speech. The Second Amendment, free guns. I wish there's free guns.
There's a reason it's number one.
But there's a reason it's number one, because that's the number one issue perhaps on everyone's mind, especially the ancient mind, when suffering was even more in your face. It was more overt. It was more every day. And he said he defined life as suffering. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Buddha says life is suffering. Yahweh says, I ain't trying to suffer. And then Christ says suffering is good.
Valuable.
Is it valuable?
Yeah. Chapter 1, Peter 5:10. And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. All I hear from this is suffering is valuable to God because he will restore you. Or is it transactional? I don't want it to be transactional. Right. I don't want it to be like, oh, God, I suffered, so you owe me.
Sounds like you're Jewish.
Yeah, So I'm having a hard time understanding what Peter meant.
You have to discern when you read the Bible, too. And what I'm getting from this, let me know what you think, is that Peter's just talking about death. He's saying because you have lived, you will die and go to heaven. I think he's talking about heaven.
You think it's an analogy?
Yes.
For ultimate reward.
I certainly think that's what he's talking about. That's just me. You know, I could be wrong, but it sounds like, because I don't want to believe as well. I don't want to believe that it's sort of this give and take. I suffer today, I'm rewarded tomorrow. It's just the casino of life. That doesn't feel right to me. And it's not practically correct either in my experience. What do you got?
So what I hear you saying is that the suffering Peter was talking about was just life itself.
Life. You could replace the word suffering for life.
Oh man, yeah, because if you're going against the first of the four noble truths,
everybody knows it.
Where are you gonna go? You're gonna suffer.
Yep.
You gotta do it.
But not that there's a give and take for the suffering, but there's a reason, an ultimate reward or reason, if you will, for the suffering, which is eternal life with Jesus.
So what about suicide?
You ain't going there.
But I like it. So you're saying it's not transactional.
I am feeling that from what Peter's saying, certainly.
It's like, you will suffer, but here is why.
Right.
Yeah.
Here is why. And this is, right. I like that. This is why you are suffering, not, hey, suffer a little bit and maybe tomorrow I'll give you
so you
some
got
money.
6,000 sufferings. We owe you 520.
Yeah, right. It's not a ledger. Yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
that's all I could think of.
Again, it's not Jewish ledgers. Yeah.
That's all I could think of. Like, if you eat your vegetables, you're going to get this stuff later on.
Yeah,
you're going to get this dessert.
And I don't think that's how God works, and I don't think that's how Peter was thinking about it either.
Right, I think that's pretty traumatic, actually, if you try to give something as a reward for, like, enduring this suffering.
A little while. And what is not a little while?
Perfect.
If not our lives?
That's very true.
A short time on this planet.
A little while.
A little while. It's not saying, suffer for today. That's a little while. But I think he's using hyperbole here. His eternal glory in Christ. Eternal glory. It's not, hey, I'm going to give you a sack of gold tomorrow. Nah, you're going to be in God. With God in eternal glory.
I like that, Mitch. It's literally pointing out, suffer just a little while.
Yes.
A little while, you know?
Doesn't that feel so real when you think about life? Like, it's just a short time.
Compared to the glory and eternity.
Eternity of it all. Wow. Yes. Hell yeah. Dope. Okay. So I'm more confirmed in that belief.
I guess little really does depend on the perspective.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep.
Peter.
And when you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces, that their fasting may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward.
There it is, thine hypocrites.
And when you're praying in private, that really only mainly happens for a lot of people when you are suffering. You're suffering, so you go to prayer. So the suffering out in public, it's some form of prayer to other people.
Yes, it's not a real prayer. I like that. Who are you praying to?
You're worshiping a false god of social acceptance.
Oh, that's high. Yep.
That's what you're doing.
I think that's really cool. Yeah. You know, you ain't praying to God. You praying to the devil, which is the rest of the humans around you.
Yeah, because when you're suffering or in pain, you feel most compelled.
And then that's when you want the love of somebody else to put their hand on your shoulder and go like this. Nah, you're not praying to God in that moment. Wow, you're fasting and making your face look all nasty so everybody sees, I'm a man of God. I'm all holy.
He deserves reward for all this fasting.
Reward. And guess what? You got it. This tap on the back, that is the reward. And me thinking that you're holy. That's the reward. Yeah,
it's like, man, Mitch, you look hungry. I know you've been fasting. Have a slice of my pizza.
I can't accept.
Exactly.
I'm pretty holy. You wouldn't understand. But thanks for that anyway. I deserve this pizza.
So final aspect of this theme here of suffering. I would like to say this is a quote from Aziz Ansari's father.
The last scripture.
The last of all scriptures.
He said, fun is new.
Fun is new, my friend.
Yeah. Meaning that suffering may be over. Maybe a thing of the past. And now we have this thing called fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Damn. See, how do I want to hit this, right? We have to get definitional here. As a whole, I think we'd like to ameliorate suffering in the modern times. But what does that mean? Is it gone? If we take what Buddha says, suffering is always going to be here because if you have life, you have suffering. But then I think about, what is the opposite of suffering? Is it actually fun? Or as I postulate, The opposite of suffering being the lack of suffering. Oh, because I only say that because you could have any number of examples. The first one that comes to my mind is camping. Is it suffering? Yes. Is it fun? Yes. It's a little bit of both. So that's why I take the definition of the opposite of fun to be something more like obligation. Responsibility. Would you not agree? Things that you have to do
versus wants
versus things you choose to do. Whereas suffering could be tied in, but I think it's a different force entirely, because when we suffer, what do we seek? We don't seek fun. We seek the cessation of suffering.
Right. There's no fun in obligation, that's for sure.
Absolutely. The definition of obligation is doing something you have to, perhaps for survival, because it's got to get done.
Wow, that's funny. The last thing you think about is fun when you're suffering. Like if someone tries to cheer you up, it's like, I don't want to hear that.
You know what? That's what made me think about it, right? You're like, oh, I got a heart attack. So it's like, I could really use a surfboard right now. Oh, no, you don't want a surfboard. You want the pain to stop.
Buy me a PS5.
Oh, God, I need the new Gran Turismo. Oh, God, please. Santa Claus.
So it sounds to me like fun can exist while people suffer.
You could play Xbox while you're having a heart attack.
You could play cards while you're, in jail.
You could have kidney stones while you're having sex.
That was a great banter.
I think
figured
fun.
It out, yo.
So the final question I have is fun here to stay.
Oh,
and I think it sounds like it's here to stay.
guys, let's get a little more ancient with some Mitch Translates the Tao.
Welcome to my house.
Oh, my esteemed guest. Welcome, my very esteemed guest. You're now in the house of Tao. Ha! Mitch Translates the Tao, chapter 31. Let's get it. Even the most beautiful weapons are not auspicious. Therefore, the Tao is not in them. The gentleman honors the left hand at home and employs weapons in the right hand. Victory is not glorious when you have to kill. In good times, we esteem the left. In bad times, we esteem the right. War is like a funeral. Therefore, in war, even victory is sorrowful. Now, I gotta say off the top, this might be the first that's perhaps a little embellished, a little simplified. There was like a lot of technical terms, but I think you guys get the point in general. Am I right?
I like this one a lot. It's less cryptic than most DAOs.
Less cryptic, yeah. Kind of straightforward. And
maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah. He's finally telling me what he means.
Yeah.
Really? I thought it was more cryptic.
Oh, how so? Okay. This is good. Oh, here we go.
I can't interpret this one at all.
Damn.
I kind of want to talk about like the blaming thing earlier with the left hand and the right hand.
Nice.
It's the comparison between two, like an enemy and an ally.
Okay, so right off the bat, he's saying even the most beautiful weapons are not auspicious, therefore the Tao's not in them. This is weird, right? Because he didn't really say that weapons aren't auspicious. He said beautiful weapons.
Right.
So it's almost like brandishing weapons. It's almost like showing off weapons, using them maybe for the wrong purpose. It's all very cryptic. I don't know.
Intimidation as opposed to defense.
Yeah, right. Like, how are you using this tool? And then to get to where you said, gentleman honors the left hand at home and employs weapons the right. So it's almost to say that the home is the left, the home is honorable, the home is the gentleman, whereas the right, it employs the weapons. It's the outside.
The shield hand versus the main hand.
I like it. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to think of it. You know, one who battles, one who defends. Wow, that's a really good way to think of it. That. I like that a lot.
Most of the times, left hand is your defense hand, right?
Boom, there it is. Yep. Wow.
And I was thinking earlier you were talking about awesome and how something is filled with awe.
Filled with awe.
I kind of wanted to make that synonymous with beautiful for a second at the beginning there, because weapons that you see and you're filled with awe, those are definitely the most dangerous, and they should never be used on anybody, because that's not a defensive posture in magnificent weapons.
Yeah, why are you using it? Why are you going to use it once it's brandished?
Yeah, it's like if you want to kill your enemy, one knife will do. Why go after thousands?
Yeah, the biggest, most beautiful, the most powerful, stacking. A few translations talk about like storing resources of weapons. I could see that as well. Having too much, to your point. Oh my God. Let's see. Then we get, now this one's pretty funny. In good times we esteem the left, and in bad times we esteem the right. Now what they're talking about is in good times we esteem the shield, to use Poge's metaphor, and in bad times we esteem the sword. We gotta attack. We gotta take back what's ours. But isn't it funny also that this could be applied to modern politics? Oh, what do you mean, Mitch? What are you talking about? In times that are good, we esteem the left. We esteem progressivism. We esteem that of excessive freedom, excessive debauchery. But when things start turning bad, we need a little bit of that right hand again.
Yeah, your shield might be wearing away a little bit. Might be taking too many hits.
Decisive rules. Yeah, your shield's wearing down, and all of a sudden, like, we need a little attack again.
Yeah, a little ebb and flow to the situation. My shield's absorbing too much of the blows.
So I think that's super
else.
funny that it's like this ancient idea of what Poge said, sword and shield. I imagine that's exactly synonymous.
Yeah.
The home versus the away, the inward versus the outward. And then it also applies to sort of a modern political position, as if it's always been in the back of our minds, perhaps in our minds itself, the left brain and the right brain could go as deep as that.
You can almost look at the suffering examples earlier. We were talking about like the left hand is the more defense or the home, the right hand's more the offense. And it seems like the Tao is favoring the left, or the humble attitude, the restraint, and not using of physical force and violence. It's almost like favoring suffering and being on the defensive from the evils of the world.
That's interesting, because I certainly got that impression from translating this as well, but that's why it was so tough, because I'm like, is he really saying this? Is he really like picking a side? And it's so esoteric, but I get the feeling that he did, in fact, dislike weapons. He knows the Tao's not in them, but also acknowledges a need for them. I get that from this a little bit too. Like, there will be times of war. What am I going to do? One person. There will be suffering, Buddha. There will be times of war, Lao Tzu.
And like the best offense is a good defense kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's hefty too.
Yep.
It's so funny, right? And I guess you can make arguments that it was a smaller world back then. There weren't nukes back then, whatever. But it is funny that he does seem to take that way. But I think he acknowledges a balance of it all. But who knows? Comment, y'all. And of course, the big overt, as it started, so it ends. War is as a funeral. Therefore, in war, even victory is sorrowful. If you got to kill, if you got to, compromise your morals, did you really win? Did you really get what you wanted the way you wanted to get it?
No, I would imagine that you're probably only thinking, this didn't need to happen.
Yeah, there was alternatives. There was a different way to get whatever I wanted to get done.
Yep.
Man!
Like, this person didn't need to die, or these people didn't need to die for this outcome.
You got to be creative, y'all. And that's what ancient wisdom tries to teach us. This has been episode 49. Tune in next week for episode 50. It's a big milestone. Come on back.